Hello, and welcome to this second video in our mindfulness meditation series. I am Stacey Guenther, and this video series is provided for the Organization Development and Knowledge Management Program at George Mason University. Welcome. So in this second video, we're going to be talking about mindfulness of the body. So when we're talking about having mindfulness of the body, we're talking about really tuning into the mind, to the body, and creating a mind-body connection. It's a very tricky thing in our society where we're so focused on intellect and cognition and really prized for what happens from our neck up. But to have mindfulness of the body really means to tune in to what's going on from the neck down, to use your body as a source of information, a source of wisdom. So we're really, in this way, paying attention to the sensations that we find in our body because they tell a bigger story. Now, as I say this, you may be saying to yourself, ugh, I don't want to spend time thinking about my body. It makes me think about getting older, or it makes me think about sickness. Well, that's perfectly normal. When we think about the body, we are oftentimes dealing with attraction and aversion. And so, as I was saying, ew, I don't want to think about my body. That makes me think about getting older. So that is aversion from pain and illness and aging. That is quite a common thing, and a reason that we don't want to spend time thinking about our bodies and being connected to our bodies. On the other hand, we often chase that feeling of feeling good in our bodies, of feeling relaxed, or that runner's high, or just generally feeling good. And then we're chasing that feeling. That's attraction. So what we're really trying to find is acceptance with whatever is going on in our bodies, good, bad, neutral, and just being aware of the very many sensations that are happening. What can also happen in our bodies is that it can give us so much more information about how we are reacting or responding to a situation around us. If we feel tightness in our chest or butterflies in our belly, or if we get a headache from something that's going on, that can so often be information about how we're reacting to what's going on around us that we may not even have in our conscious awareness. So if we can tune into our bodies and really start to pay attention to what's going on there, it can be the source of a lot of information. We teach this in coaching. We teach to pay attention to your body because it often gives you cues and clues about what's going on with your client. So tuning into the body is a really good thing. And the first step is to be aware of whether you have attraction or aversion to spending time in your body, to being aware of it. And then how readily you're able to accept your current physical situation. For those of us who have physical difficulty, chronic illness, for example, sometimes that can be quite difficult. But it also, according to Jon Kabat-Zinn, who's the originator of a mindfulness-based stress reduction, if we actually tune in to pain and discomfort, it actually begins to lessen. It is like a signal in our body telling us to pay attention. Of course, I invite you to do this kind of inquiry with your body from a state of cool, just like we talked about in the Mindfulness 101 video. This is the attitude with which we want to enter our mindfulness practice, and body awareness is no different. So a wonderful quote from authors Shapiro and Carlson say, attending without bringing the attitudinal qualities, I call, into the practice may result in a practice that is condemning. In other words, self-awareness without self-love can be terrorism. You can commit terrorism on yourself, and that ends up doing more harm than good. So bring that attitude of curiosity, openness, acceptance, and love to your exploration of body practices. Now, what are the practices exactly? There are really three types of practices that fall under body awareness. One is the body scan meditation. It's when you lie on the floor and you tune in to the physical experience of scanning your body, feeling the body from the inside out versus having that, like, there's my toe. Instead of thinking about your toe, you actually feel the presence and the inner workings of your toe. And you do that for your entire body. Um, it's a longer meditation, quite often leads to sleeping, which is okay. Just stick with it. But it is definitely a practice to try. Another more abbreviated form of the body scan is what I call the body sensation meditation. This is available on the ODKM YouTube channel, a guided practice of the body sensation. And again, it's scanning the body for sensations and just noticing what's there. And it's really just a means of tuning in to our physical experience. Again, a brief body scan. Highly recommended that you even try it. The third type is a very popular type of meditation, very well known in the mindfulness community. That's the walking meditation. And that is tuning into your body, the sensation of your body moving through space, walking. And you walk very slowly, very intentionally. When I have taught mindfulness meditation classes, I've even taught mindfulness meditation classes to undergraduates at George Mason. When we do the walking meditation, all of us are outside walking in the grass with bare feet and walking very slow. Other people will walk by and stop and just stare because it's such an odd thing to see a group of people walking very slowly together. It's kind of funny. Now, this walking meditation, I also have a guided practice for you on the YouTube ODKM channel. So you might want to check those two practices out. Now, I also want to talk about another practice. It is not a body focused or body centered practice, and it's not foundational like breath attention and sound attention. But it's something called the self-compassion practice. And research tells us that if you engage in a self-compassion practice as you're trying to establish a meditation practice, the likelihood of your practice sticking is much higher. So in the series, we don't provide information or practices on self-compassion. However, a great resource is self-compassion.org. It is loaded with resources, including instructional videos and assessment, a bunch of guided practices, but I highly recommend you start with the 5-minute self-compassion break. You can do it anytime, any place, and I recommend that you start doing it and try it out for a couple weeks, doing it daily. So here's what I recommend. Try each of these three practices, the body scan, the body sensation, and walking meditation. See which one you like the best. As I said, there are guided practices available on the ODKM YouTube channel for the body sensation and the walking practices. And you can find guided body scan practices. They're a bit longer than these others that I'm providing. You can find them at mindful.org, UCLA Health, and on the Insight timer app. And that app, by the way, is one that I recommend as a timer. It keeps track of how many times you meditate, which is kind of lovely. So after you've tried all three of those, decide which one you like the best, and then do it on alternating days, alternating with the breath attention. And then I recommend you add that second practice, the self-compassion practice as well. So perhaps you do either a body-focused practice or your breath attention in the morning, and then in the evening, do your self-compassion practice. I wish you good luck and good health. Enjoy.